You ever think you know someone, like really know them, only to find out they've been living a lie right under your nose? That's what happened to me, Michael Evans, on a sunny afternoon in June 2024. Just one day after I thought I'd sealed my future with the love of my life. I'm 35, a software engineer in Denver, Colorado, with a decent house, a dog named Rusty, and a wife, Amanda, who I thought was my forever. We'd been married for 10 years, and I'd just given her a diamond ring to celebrate our anniversary, a promise of another decade together. But less than 24 hours later, I found out she was cheating on me, and that was just the beginning of a nightmare that unfolded in 3 gut-wrenching D-days. Discovery days that shattered everything I thought I knew. So buckle up, because this story's a roller coaster, and it starts with a punch to the gut right out of the gate. It was a Saturday, the kind of day where the sun's too bright, the birds are too loud, and you just want to sleep in. I'd been up late the night before, still buzzing from our anniversary dinner. Amanda and I had gone to this fancy Italian place downtown, the kind with dim lights and waiters who call you sir. I'd slipped the diamond ring onto her finger over dessert, a shimmering promise of our future, and she'd teared up, her hazel eyes sparkling as she kissed me, and whispered, "I love you, Michael, always." We'd come home, made love, and fallen asleep tangled in each other's arms, or so I thought. I woke up to an empty bed, the sheets cold on her side, and a note on the kitchen counter. "Gone to Mom's for brunch. Be back soon. Love you, A." I smiled, picturing her with her mom, Linda, probably gossiping over mimosas about their nosy neighbors or the latest episode of The Bachelor. Linda lived about 20 minutes away in a suburban neighborhood full of cul-de-sacs and HOA drama, and Amanda often popped over on weekends. I didn't think twice about it. I made myself a coffee, scratched Rusty's ears, and settled on the couch to catch up on some emails. I had a big project deadline coming up at work, a new software rollout for a client that was driving me up the wall, so I figured I'd get a head start while Amanda was out. That's when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Probably spam, right? But something made me open it. The message was short, but it hit me like a freight train. "Check your wife's location. She's not at her mom's." Attached was a screenshot of a GPS map showing Amanda's phone at a motel on the edge of town, a good 30 minutes from Linda's house. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, my coffee going cold in my hand, as my brain scrambled for excuses. Maybe her phone was wrong. Maybe she'd stopped somewhere on the way. But deep down, I knew. I'd felt it for months. The late nights, the vague excuses, the way she'd pull away when I tried to hold her. I just didn't want to believe it. I opened the location sharing app we'd set up years ago, back when we were paranoid about getting lost on a road trip. Sure enough, there she was. A little dot blinking at the Sunrise Motel. A seedy spot I'd driven past 100 times but never thought twice about. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my keys, Rusty whining at my heels like he could sense something was wrong. I didn't care. I had to know. I jumped in my car, a beat-up Toyota Camry that smelled like dog hair and old coffee, and sped toward the motel, my mind racing with every worst-case scenario. The motel parking lot was half empty. Just a few cars scattered around, and I spotted Amanda's silver Honda Civic near the back, parked next to a black SUV I didn't recognize. I pulled in a few spaces away, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I sat there for a minute, gripping the steering wheel, trying to convince myself to turn around, to go home, to pretend I hadn't seen anything. But I couldn't. I got out, my sneakers crunching on the gravel, and walked toward her car, peering through the window. Her purse was on the passenger seat, her phone charger plugged in, and there, on the dashboard, was a receipt from a gas station dated an hour ago. She'd been here a while. I followed the numbered doors until I found the one closest to her car, room 12. The blinds were drawn, but there was a gap, just big enough for me to see inside. I wish I hadn't looked. There she was, my Amanda, tangled in the sheets with a man I didn't recognize. He was younger, maybe late 20s, with dark hair and a tattoo snaking down his arm. She was laughing, her head thrown back, the diamond ring I'd given her glinting on her finger as she touched his chest. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I just stood there, frozen, as the woman I loved, the woman I'd built a life with, betrayed me in the cheapest motel room in Denver. That was D-Day number 1. I don't know how long I stood there, seconds, minutes. But eventually, I stumbled back to my car, my vision blurry with tears. I drove home on autopilot, the image of them burned into my brain. When I got back, I sat on the couch, Rusty nudging my hand with his wet nose, and waited. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't call her, couldn't text her. I just waited, my mind a storm of rage, pain, and disbelief. Amanda came home around 2 p.m., her hair mussed, her makeup smudged, but she was smiling, carrying a bag of groceries like nothing had happened. "Hey babe," she said, setting the bag on the counter. "Mom says hi. She made those blueberry muffins you like. I brought some back." I stared at her, my voice barely a whisper. "You weren't at your mom's." Her smile faltered, just for a second, but she recovered fast. "What?" "Of course I was. Where else would I be?" I held up my phone, the GPS screenshot still on the screen. "The Sunrise Motel, room 12. I saw you, Amanda. I saw you with him." The color drained from her face, and for a moment I thought she might deny it, might laugh it off, or call me crazy. But she didn't. She sank into a chair, her hands covering her face, and started to cry. "Michael, I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for this to happen. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" I shouted, my voice breaking. "A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill, Amanda. This isn't a mistake, it's an affair. How long? How long have you been doing this?" She wouldn't look at me, her shoulders shaking as she cried. "A few months," she whispered. "Since January." 7 months. 7 months of lies, of her sneaking around, of her coming home to me with a smile while she was with someone else. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make her feel the pain that was tearing me apart. But I didn't. I just sat there, numb, as she begged for forgiveness, promising it was over, that she'd never see him again, that she loved me and wanted to fix things. I didn't know what to believe. I wanted to trust her, to believe we could salvage our marriage, but the image of her with that guy wouldn't leave me. I told her I needed space, and she agreed, moving into the guest room while I tried to figure out what to do. I threw myself into work, spending long hours at the office, avoiding her as much as I could. My boss, Greg, noticed something was off, but I brushed him off with excuses about deadlines. I couldn't tell him the truth. I could barely admit it to myself. That should have been the end of it, right? A one-time discovery, a painful conversation, a chance to heal or move on. But it wasn't. 2 weeks later, D-Day number 2 hit me like a sledgehammer. I'd been trying to give Amanda a chance, trying to believe her when she said it was over. We'd started couples therapy, sitting on a stiff leather couch while a therapist named Dr. Ellis asked us about our communication patterns. I was skeptical, but I wanted to make it work, for us, for the life we'd built, for the future I still wanted with her. I'd just gotten back from a work trip to Chicago, a grueling 3-day marathon of meetings and coding sessions that left me exhausted. I'd texted Amanda to let her know I was on my way home, expecting her to be there, maybe with dinner on the table, a small gesture to show she was trying. Instead, I got a message. "Going to Mom's for dinner. Be back late. Love you." I didn't think much of it. Linda's house was a safe space, or so I thought. But something nagged at me, a gut feeling I couldn't shake. I opened the location app again, telling myself I was being paranoid, that I needed to trust her if we were going to make this work. She wasn't at her mom's. She was back at the Sunrise Motel, the same damn room, the same blinking dot on the map. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. I called her, my hands shaking, but she didn't answer. I called Linda, hoping, praying, I was wrong, that Amanda was really there, that this was all a mistake. "Linda, it's Michael," I said when she picked up, my voice tight. "Is Amanda with you?" There was a pause, too long, and then Linda's voice, cheerful but strained. "Oh yes, sweetie, she's right here. We're just finishing dinner. Want to say hi?" I didn't believe her. I could hear the lie in her voice, the way she stumbled over her words. "Put her on," I said, my tone colder than I meant. Another pause. She's in the bathroom, Linda said. I'll have her call you back, okay? I hung up, my blood boiling. I drove to the motel again, my hands gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Sure enough, her car was there, parked next to the same black SUV. I didn't go to the room this time, I couldn't handle seeing it again, but I sat in my car watching the door, waiting for her to come out. She did, around midnight, her hair disheveled, her dress wrinkled, laughing as the guy kissed her goodbye before getting into his SUV. I snapped a photo with my phone, my hands shaking, not even sure why I was doing it. Evidence, maybe. Proof that I wasn't crazy. When she got home, I was waiting in the living room, the photo on my phone screen, Rusty curled up at my feet like he knew I needed him. Amanda froze when she saw me, her keys slipping from her hand and clattering to the floor. Michael, she stammered, her eyes darting to the phone. You're back early. Cut the bullshit, Amanda, I said, my voice low, dangerous. You weren't at your mom's, you were with him, again, after you swore it was over. She didn't deny it this time. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face, as I held up the photo, the timestamp clear, 12:03 a.m. 4 hours, I said. You were with him for 4 hours, while I was coming home to you, while we're supposed to be fixing this. And your mom, she lied for you, didn't she? Amanda nodded, her voice barely a whisper. She didn't want you to get hurt. Hurt? I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. You think I'm not hurt now? You think this doesn't hurt? I walked out, grabbing my keys and Rusty's leash, and drove to a hotel, the cheapest one I could find, because I couldn't stand to be in the same house as her. I didn't sleep that night, just lay there, staring at the ceiling, the photo of her and that guy burning a hole in my pocket. I kept thinking about Linda, how she'd covered for Amanda, how she'd probably known all along. It wasn't just my wife who'd betrayed me. It was her whole family. That was D-Day number 2, but the worst was yet to come. A month later, after weeks of silence between us, I decided to give therapy one more shot. Amanda had begged me to come back, swearing she'd ended it for good, that she'd cut off contact with the guy. His name was Ethan, I'd learned, a coworker from her marketing firm, and that she'd do anything to save our marriage. I wanted to believe her, not because I trusted her, but because I couldn't imagine my life without her. We'd built a home together, a life, a decade of memories. I wasn't ready to let that go. We were sitting in Dr. Ellis's office, talking about trust-building exercises, when my phone buzzed with an email. I ignored it at first, but it buzzed again, and something told me to check it. It was from an anonymous sender. The subject line simply, "You deserve to know." Attached was a series of screenshots, text messages between Amanda and Ethan dated just 3 days ago. They were explicit, graphic, full of promises to meet again, to make up for lost time. There were photos, too, selfies of them together, Amanda in lingerie I'd never seen, Ethan's hands on her, their lips locked in a kiss. I felt the room spin, Dr. Ellis's voice fading into a dull hum. I stood up, my phone slipping from my hand and hitting the floor with a crack. "Michael?" Amanda said, her voice trembling, but I didn't look at her. I couldn't. I walked out, leaving her there, her sobs echoing behind me. That was D-Day number 3, the final straw. I drove to my sister's house in Boulder, an hour away, needing space, needing someone who wouldn't lie to me. My sister, Lauren, listened as I poured it all out. The motel, the lies, Linda's betrayal, the texts. She hugged me, her own eyes red with tears, and told me what I already knew. I couldn't stay with Amanda. Not after this. When I finally went home, Amanda was waiting, her bags packed, her face pale. "I know you got the email," she said, her voice hollow. "I'm so sorry, Michael. I don't know why I did it. I love you, I do, but I couldn't stop. I didn't yell this time, I didn't cry. I just looked at her, the woman I'd loved for a decade, and felt nothing." "You need to leave," I said, my voice steady. "I'm done." She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and walked out, her suitcase dragging behind her. I watched her go, Rusty whining at my side, and felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. The house was quiet, too quiet, but for the first time in months I could breathe. The weeks that followed were a blur. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects, working late to avoid the silence of the house. Greg finally pulled me aside one day, his face full of concern. "Michael, you look like hell," he said, handing me a coffee. I told him everything, the whole messy story, and to my surprise, he didn't judge me. He just listened, then clapped me on the shoulder. "You'll get through this, man. You're stronger than you think." I started therapy, solo this time, not couples, and began to unpack the layers of hurt, anger, and betrayal. I learned that Linda had been enabling Amanda's behavior for years, not just with the affair, but with other lies, always excusing her daughter's actions, always blaming me. I cut contact with her, blocking her number, refusing to let her toxic presence in my life. Amanda tried to reach out a few times, leaving voicemails full of apologies, but I deleted them without listening. I wasn't ready to forgive. Maybe I never would be. I sold the house a few months later, needing a fresh start, and moved into a smaller place closer to work, a condo with a view of the Rockies that Rusty loved to stare at through the window. I started painting again, a hobby I'd abandoned after college, filling my evenings with colors and shapes, trying to make sense of the chaos in my heart. I even went on a date. Nothing serious, just coffee with a woman from my running group. But it felt good to laugh again, to feel like I could move forward. I still think about those 3D days sometimes, the moments that broke me, but also set me free. I think about the diamond ring, the promises we made, the life we could have had if she'd been honest, if she'd chosen me. But I also think about the life I'm building now, one where I'm enough, where I don't have to wonder if I'm being lied to. It's not perfect, but it's mine, and that's more than I could have asked for a year ago. So, that's my story, the 3D days that turned my world upside down and taught me what I'm really made of. If you're listening, maybe you've been through something like this, maybe you're still picking up the pieces. All I can say is, you're not alone. And you're stronger than you know.